Right now, if you feel a fever coming on, you know exactly what to do. Check your symptoms online, walk to a pharmacy, swallow a pill with a glass of water, and by tomorrow, you expect to feel human again. Getting sick today is an inconvenience. For almost the entire span of human existence, it was a death sentence with no explanation attached. For roughly 300,000 years, Homo sapiens lived without knowing that invisible organisms cause disease. There was no concept of bacteria, no idea that a wound could turn deadly because of anything other than bad luck or an angry spirit. And yet our ancestors did not simply lie down and die whenever illness struck. They treated each other. They developed remedies. They carried the sick 4 miles and fed people who could no longer feed themselves. The story of ancient medicine does not start with hospitals or pills. It starts with something much simpler. One person refusing to let another person die alone. Let's start before modern humans even existed, in a cave in northern Iraq called Shanidar. In the 1950s, archaeologists uncovered the skeleton of a Neanderthal man who lived roughly 45,000 years ago. Researchers nicknamed him Shanidar 1, and his body told an extraordinary story. His right arm had been amputated above the elbow decades before he died. He was blind in one eye from a skull fracture, and his legs showed signs of a condition that would have made walking painful, maybe impossible. By every measure, this man could not have hunted, gathered food, or defended himself alone. Yet the healing in his bones proves he lived 4 years, maybe decades, after his injuries. Someone fed him. Someone helped him move. Someone kept him alive long after he stopped being useful in any practical sense. The paleoanthropologist who studied these remains, Eric Trinkhaus, argued that Shanidar 1 is some of the earliest solid evidence we have of compassion as a survival strategy, not just an emotion. Care was only part of the picture. Ancient humans and their relatives also treated illness directly, and we have proof they knew which plants worked. In 2012, archaeologist Karen Hardy examined hardened plaques scraped from the teeth of Neanderthal skeletons, found in a cave in Spain. Trapped inside that plaque for tens of thousands of years were microscopic traces of chamomile and yarrow. Both plants are bitter. Neither one offers any real nutrition, but both have been used for thousands of years since to fight inflammation, calm the stomach, and clean wounds. Hardy's conclusion was striking. These Neanderthals were not eating these plants by accident. They were self-medicating, deliberately choosing bitter, low-calorie plants because they understood, on some level, what those plants could do for a sick or injured body. That knowledge did not disappear. It got more sophisticated. In 1991, hikers in the Alps found a body preserved in ice for roughly 5,300 years. Scientists named him Otzi. Along with his tools and clothing, Otzi carried 2 small pieces of a birch fungus threaded onto a leather cord. Almost like a first aid kit, that fungus, known today as birch polypore, has natural antibacterial and anti-parasitic properties. When researchers examined Otzi's remains, they found he was infected with whipworm, an intestinal parasite. He appears to have known he was sick and carried medicine for it. Otzi's body held one more surprise. He had more than 60 tattoos, simple dark lines burned or cut into his skin. When scientists mapped their locations, almost every single one sat directly over a joint suffering from arthritis, including his lower spine, knees, and ankles. The leading theory is that these were not decoration at all. They were pain treatment, a Bronze Age version of acupuncture, applied centuries before acupuncture was ever written down in China. Some ancient treatments were far more drastic. Trepanation, the practice of scraping or drilling a hole directly into the skull, shows up independently in prehistoric cultures on nearly every continent, going back over 7,000 years. It sounds like a death sentence, and sometimes it was, but archaeologists studying trepan skulls found something unexpected. Around the edges of many holes, the bone had smoothed over and regrown, a kind of healing that takes months, sometimes years. That means a significant number of patients survived the surgery, went on living, and in some documented cases returned for a second or third procedure. Nobody knows for certain why ancient healers drilled into living human skulls, but the leading theories include relieving pressure after head injuries or trying to treat seizures. Whatever the reasoning, someone was performing real surgery without anesthesia and without any understanding of infection. And a surprising number of patients walked away from the table. We do not have to guess entirely about how this knowledge was passed down, because a handful of hunter-gatherer societies survived into the modern era, giving anthropologists a living window into practices otherwise invisible in the archaeological record. Among the San people of the Kalahari Desert in southern Africa, illness has traditionally been treated as a community event, not a private one. When someone falls sick, the entire camp may gather at night around a fire. Dancers move in a circle for hours, while singers keep a steady rhythm, until one or more healers enter a trance state and place trembling hands directly on the sick person, believed to draw the illness out of their body and into their own. The ritual can last through the entire night. Whether or not you believe in the spiritual explanation, the practice reveals something important. For most of human history, getting sick was never something you faced by yourself. It was treated as a problem for the whole group to solve together. None of this means ancient life was healthier than ours. Without any understanding of germs, ordinary infections that we cure with a 5-day course of pills today could easily kill a grown adult. Childbirth was especially dangerous for both mother and child, and parasites were constant companions, not rare emergencies. This is part of why average life expectancy at birth in ancient populations looks shockingly low, sometimes stated as only 30 years, but that number is misleading. It is dragged down by extremely high rates of infant and childhood death. Anyone who survived to adulthood had a real chance of living into their 50s, 60s, or beyond. The image of the caveman who simply dropped dead at 30 from old age is a myth. The real danger was always the years before the body finished growing up. Strangely enough, health did not steadily improve as humans advanced. When our ancestors began abandoning hunting and gathering in favor of farming, roughly 10,000 years ago, skeletal evidence shows that health actually got worse. Farming populations were shorter than their hunter-gatherer ancestors. Their bones and teeth show more signs of malnutrition, anemia, and infectious disease. Living in permanent settlements, packed closer together, surrounded by domesticated animals and stored grain, created ideal conditions for disease to spread in ways that small, mobile hunting bands rarely experienced. In many respects, agriculture was a nutritional and medical step backward, even though it eventually allowed populations to grow far larger than hunting and gathering ever could. The real turning point, the moment that finally separated ancient medicine from modern medicine, did not arrive until shockingly recently. It was not until the 1860s and 1870s that scientists including Louis Pasteur proved that invisible microorganisms, not bad air or angry spirits or personal sin, were the actual cause of infectious disease. For nearly the entire history of our species, nobody knew what was attacking their bodies when they got sick. They only knew how to respond to the outcome, using whatever plants, rituals, surgery, and community support they had available. So the next time you swallow a pill without a second thought, remember what that moment actually represents. For 300,000 years, getting sick meant relying on a caring hand, a bitter plant chosen by instinct and experience, or a healer dancing through the night beside a fire. There was no certainty, no guarantee, no name for what was wrong. Just people doing everything they possibly could to keep each other alive. Long before they ever understood why any of it worked,